So this is how you start an episode of AEW Dynamite. And as ever, you can say whatever you like about the show, but over the last few weeks, I think they've been on a bit of a run. Also, hello my friends, welcome to Ups and Downs, the only wrestling review show you need, where we are going to go through AEW Dynamite, give the good bits up and the bad bits down. Please subscribe, please go watch all the ups and downs. It's just meant to be fun adventure with me, Simon Miller, the Bald Idiot. Do not forget, AEW is coming to the UK in a couple of months, and tickets on sale now. And you know what we're trying to manifest in the next 12 months. I shall appear on a major wrestling show, because look, I do wrestle.
Gets him out of trouble, and the clothesline takes down Money. Sidewalk slam from Miller.
I'm not saying I'm very good, and that's why if you want to put me on the pre-show, if you just want me in the crowd going, oh, happy to be here, I just have dreams, man. I don't know what we're talking about, but I do know I just watched some wrestling. Let's up those downs. But yes, it was Hangman and Paige walking into the ring to kick this off. He was all like, man, I don't understand why you cheered me so much, given that I've done such terrible things. Now, that is true, Mr. Cowboy, but we love ya. He then explained that he just wanted to get revenge after all these things that had happened to his family, which is why when he and Swerve Strickland had that cage match, yep, he tried to kill him. Then he walked to the top of the ramp, and as you recall, he was going to walk back, when I suppose his brain went, Adam, we're not meant to kill people, it's illegal. The thing is, he felt absolutely nothing, and even though he went on a rampage after this, he still couldn't feel feelings in his tum-tum. I suppose that's when he started to ponder to himself, maybe this isn't the right way to go. He also brought up his frustration, which also took everybody out around him, but that's why finally he is over this. And while he looked into the camera and said, Swerve, I'll never forgive you, listen, I have found some kind of a peace, and that's when I entered the Owen Hart Cup, and look what I did. I beat this guy, I beat that guy, I beat Josh Alexander, I beat Kyle Fletcher, and now I'm one match away from the final. There's only one guy left, and that is Will Ospreay. I kid you not, Ospreay's music hit instantly, meaning he was backstage going, I tell you, I know we do this joke a lot, but I tell you, if that guy says my name, I'm going up. Oh, he said it. Paige even said before all of this, maybe William Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world, and the fans were so pumped that they were seeing Hangman and Paige looking at Will Ospreay and vice versa, and that's when you know you've done a good job with these characters. And talking about characters, I tell you, Hangman has depth for days. Ospreay wasn't mucking around either, because he was like, sorry, I interrupted your therapy session, which was a little bit mean, when he was also like, can you believe it? We've been in so many companies, and we've never spoken to each other. Cannot be true. What do they do in the locker room? Don't talk, don't talk, don't talk. We need it for a future segment. Will did admit that he's a huge fan of the Cowboy though, and look at all the cool things you've done when you have been here in AEW. You took the Dark Order under your wing and used that to become the AEW World Champion. I mean, you're pretty much the guy. When he lost that belt though, everything did change, although Ospreay understands that. But he noticed something last week when he did beat Kyle Fletcher. All of a sudden, Hangman started to smile again. So he just goes to show that he wants to be the main dude, but the issue is, well, Ospreay is now the main dude, so come Double or Nothing, you lose him, pal, and I don't care. He then chatted about all the people that Paige has wrecked, like Jeff Jarrett and Christopher Daniels and Swerve Strickland, who he also called his friend, when he started going off about the media work he's done. Now, I understand what he was saying here. Well, he's ready to be the top guy, but if he just got into pro wrestling, you'd be like, why the hell is he talking about the press? The point is, he can do all that, and he is the best in the ring. And while he's sure it's great that Hangman and Paige wants to find his redemption, that's not what the story is, because the story is Will Ospreay's ascension. I was like, fair play, just a good line. The camera then panned to the entranceway, where the Don Callis family was stood. So these guys are total freaks as well. That's not a normal thing to do. Callis said the stupidest day of Ospreay's life was when he left the family, and now look, you're being stupid again. Do you know who you are stood next to? He is a bona fide sociopath and psychopath. I mean, it's hard to argue. I mean, he put his own mentor in a nursing home, and this is when Adam was going to kill Don Callis, but Will Ospreay dared to put his hands on the Cowboy, and essentially we set up a tag team match for next week. But Hangman took this hand and threw it away. He was like, don't you ever put your fingers on me again. That is one of the reasons why Don accepted, because he was like, man, you two can't even get out in the ring. And that's what should happen next week too. They should simultaneously combust because they can't coexist. The Don Callis family should win, because they're a proper tag team, but also Hangman and Paige and Will Ospreay falling out, well, it's just gonna build the pay-per-view. I guess we'll see. Well, that is getting super nerdy, because otherwise, this was a great opening segment, which not only built Double or Nothing, it also reconnected Don Callis with Will Ospreay and Hangman, which does make sense, and also made it very clear, if you want to get pumped about that pay-per-view, you are about to see one of the best matches that AEW can offer for the first time. Round of applause, massive up. FTR and Stokely Hathaway then interrupted the commentators when they were running through the show, and they were all like, why do you have a problem with us? We talk about paranoia. Hathaway made it clear, though, this is because Tony Schiavone keeps saying horrible things about him, including calling him a snake in the grass. FTR then roughed him up a little bit too, as they made it very clear this is about Daniel Garcia, and it does feel to me like one of the reasons they went after the commentators is because the match is going to be Cash and Dax taking on Danny and his tag team partner Nigel McGuinness. And if that's true, sign this bald idiot up. Dax also told Tony to pass the message on to Dan, and I was like, I'm pretty sure he watches the show, but this was just a nice seed planting, and AEW has got way better at this over the last few weeks too. On Dynamite, they'll say watch Collision, and on Collision, they'll say watch Dynamite. Also a big fan of this FTR Stokely Hathaway three-way. We see what happens. Harley, Cameron, and Anna Jay were then getting ready backstage, because Anna Jay was about to be in a four-way. Right. Anna also wanted to know if Harley had her fat ass. That's what she said as they started to talk about TNA. And Cameron was all like, yeah, it means tenacity and aggression. And Anna was like, it also means tits and ass. This was the conversation. Jay then promised to choke them all out when Harley Cameron accidentally ruined the go-home line, when Anna jumped on her back and they just strolled away. And you can't get mad at it, it's very entertaining. Tony Storm then walked out for this match because it was going to be yet another title eliminator, featuring Tony Storm taking on Thunder Rosa, taking on Penelope Ford, and obviously taking on Anna Jay, otherwise that segment would be weird. So actually, I think AEW turned this round before the end of the match, but I still can't unsee it. I'm being that guy. I just find it totally mad that Tony Storm is having title eliminator matches when the Women's Owen Hart Cup is going on. And yes, look, I know it's the same for the men because we're getting Samoa Joe versus John Moxley, but the reason I keep bringing up here is that Thunder Rosa is in this match, and Thunder Rosa was in the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and Thunder Rosa had to go out, and now somehow she's back in the fold. That one doesn't make any sense. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Thunder Rosa. Don't know why I keep double naming her, but that's the only reason I keep going on about it. I am going to give it a down, but once more. All Elite Wrestling then showed me this was actually super duper good. Jay and Ford brought in on the outside, meaning Thunder Tits got to go at it, which yes, the commentators did refer. And essentially this was you go, I go, we all go, then we do a two-way spot, then we do a three-way spot, and all of a sudden, whoop, bam, wham, we're back to four. Penelope also made sure to boot Tony Storm in the groin, and make sure you keep that in your brain, when she not only did one crazy moonsault off the ring apron, but later on she did another one, and she went even higher up. So thank goodness this match did ended, because probably eventually she would have done it off the roof. Anna Jay was then able to batter back with a big boot, but because two people on the corner, Tony realised, oh my gosh, I can get a double sweet cheek music. That's exactly what she did. By this point, Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm were back on the same page, so they decided to start jumping off each other's backs, which I guess if you are buddies, you can do. But all of a sudden, out came Megan Bayne. I knew. Now, to be fair, there's no disqualification in a four-way, so she was able to do this. And while Anna Jay was able to hold her own, eventually Penelope Ford got involved too, and poor Anna got wrecked with a powerbomb. Clearly nobody told Harley Cameron what was happening, because it was only here she ran out. And do you know how she got rid of Bayne? She had a pipe. I mean, I understand that she needed some kind of equalizer, but you could also describe this as a murder weapon. It worked for Ford, though, who was able to trap Jay in the Indian Deathlock, which, of course, when Tony Storm came back, and she booted her right in the groin. I told you to remember it. Storm then continued all of this with her brand new favourite move that she has been using over the last few weeks, the cross-face chicken wing. Then before it was like, man, I can't compete with no chicken. I don't have a wing. She tapped out. So that's why in hindsight I like it so much, because Tony Storm does walk into these eliminator matches, but she keeps walking out the victors. I mean, I think the announce team said she's now 11-0 in these sort of things. So what do I know about wrestling? Nothing. So it does negate my criticism, but my criticism is still there. I mean, I'm just a 2025 man, but I am going to give it an up. This was so much fun to watch, and in terms of champions, my gosh, Tony Storm is right at the top of the tree. This is when it seemed like Action Andretti and Leo Rush may be about to insert themselves into the show, because they walked into the audience, but instead out came the Hurt Syndicate. And don't you tell me these guys are heels, everybody cheered. Now MVP wanted to know where all the challenges were for their AEW tag team titles, when out came Top Flight. Now, best Top Flight, I really like them as a team, but even they were like, listen, man, I know nobody believes in us, and if we did beat you, it would be a miracle, but at the same time, we're gonna try. I was like, Darius and Dante, good for you. Of course, though, this was just a setup because MJF then ran out. And my gosh, not only did he bloody these two up with his Dynamite Diamond ring, but he threw them into the ring apron. I honestly thought poor Dante was dead, his back bent in two. He then screamed into the Hurt Syndicate's face, I hurt people, which of course ties back into last week. And as Bobby Lashley had told him to do that, he was like, okay, Max, thanks for showing us some more evidence, and I'll talk to you next week. because that's what all wrestlers do. We can't have a conversation on a Friday. Who do you think you are? The story has been so good though, and all of a sudden this popped into my brain after the very sad recent WWE releases. Do you know who was part of the past batch? It was Cedric Alexander, and I do believe in 7 days' time, he is good to go. So maybe that is where this is heading. He's actually going to join the Hurt Syndicate, which I wouldn't mind. But that does beg the question what you do with MJF, because that kind of makes the Hurt Syndicate heels, even though they are baby faces. And Max right now is both a heel and a baby face. It's absolutely hilarious that when he goes full bad guy, people boo him, but now he's kind of skirting that line again. My gosh, he's beloved. The whole point though is that they are such interesting characters. You can go shades of grey here and just tell the audience, pick whoever the flub you want. It also means we could get some kind of a feud here. I do want to see Bobby Lashley versus MJF for some reason, but ultimately it's been such a good story, and I'm just excited to see what the destination is going to be, and I have faith in AEW. I think they'll stick the landing. So it really is one of the best things on wrestling TV right now, and we are about to get to the end, or at least part of phase 1. The Elite then yelled at Excalibur because we did cut to them in the back. Apparently he had not used enough enthusiasm. As Okada is fighting Kevin Knight later, he called him a bitch because he can't help himself, when in walked Ricochet because later on, he is indeed teaming with Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. It was Ricky that made this fight too, because he was like, listen, you don't like Swerve Strickland, and I don't like Mike Bailey, so you can do the maths, that's why I went and did it. They got a bit weird because the Elite went into their locker room, and the lights were off, and the Death Riders were just sitting there. Like you can't even tell on the light what is wrong with you. This is when Marina Shafir very angrily closed the door. I think somebody needs to sit down and give them some help. And as a small aside, I think if you want to add Shayna Baszler to this group, I would not be mad. When it looked like Nick Wayne was going to make the way to the ring by himself, but nope, Christian Cage interrupted him because Christian Cage is a terrible father. We also learned that Cage had set up a match for Nick based on someone he knew from his past. And yes, everybody, or at least some people, are going nuts about this because it was Rhino, which was excellent by the way, but earlier in the day, or yesterday, or whatever the hell it was, AEW had revealed, oh hi, Rhino's gonna be on the show. Now I don't think it did anything like that because one, I'll be honest, I forgot that they had dropped that info, so I wasn't expecting him here anyway. Two, if you did recall it, sometimes it's fun to have that expectation in your tootsie toes. And three, AEW would have got just as much noise if they hadn't advertised Rhino as people go, oh no, don't you want to sell tickets? So I think this was the perfect balance, and Rhino just came out here, and he was Rhino, and he lost, which is perfectly fine. I saw that too. I can't believe Rhino debuted for AEW, and he got defeated. That's totally his role at this stage of his life. Do you think he would have agreed if he didn't understand that? The man gets it. It also helps Nick Wayne climb the ladder, and just go listen to the live response. When the music did go gore, 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 they popped off their socks. Wayne was actually doing all right to begin here as well, using his speed, when he made that 2025 mistake of posing. Rhino was like, I don't care about that, and he murked him. I mean, the belly to belly he gave Nick Wayne was hilarious. This is when Kip Sabian was getting involved and Christian Cage tripped Rhino. But actually, that didn't help Nick at all. He ran at the man, he gave him a spine buster. Rhino then decided it was time for the gore, but I kid you not. I understand there was a bunch of interference here, but Nick Wayne got out of the way, and he hit the kill switch, and he just beat him. Now listen, as a man that's been watching Rhino on TV for a long old time, I actually think this is Nick Wayne's biggest win in a long-ass time. We also teased more stuff between Cage and Nick after this, because essentially Christian threw the Ring of Honor TV title on the floor. So I just thought this was a good bit of business to use that stupid phrase, although we do need to get to Cage and Wayne very soon. At the same time, obviously the patriarchy is going to split up, and eventually Christian and Adam Copeland will get back together. So Cope better be a heel. I don't understand how you're ever going to turn Christian face. He's too much of a wonderful dickhead. Let's gang it up. It was the party match after this, and somehow this still draws criticism from certain corners. I'm not saying you have to like it, but do you want to live in a world where this doesn't exist? No thanks. It was also Ricochet and the Young Bucks taking on Mark Briscoe, Mike Bailey, and Swerve Strickland. And my advice to you is to watch the end of Ups and Downs, because my gosh, we can't end in the middle of the show. But after that, go and check it out. It just lights up my life. And as I said 7 days ago, I do not understand how they plan all this and then pull it off with the smoothness they do. And yes, there was bald jokes in there as well, but that's why I'm wearing my Baldy t-shirt today, ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. That's why I will always side. On the side, stupid thing to say, with Ricochet, you've got to leave that bald guy alone. Briscoe and Bayley were also doing some absolutely awesome offense here when the Young Bucks started to trick people too. And this is when they posed. I was like, man, they did not see the last match. This was amusing, because Ricochet was like, sweet, I'm going to get in the ring, not realizing the baby faces had taken their med packs. Matt and Nick Jackson obviously threw him under the bus when the good guys kicked him and he fell into their arms. We then got more offense from Mike and Mark, but even they couldn't stop the Young Bucks stomp flippy doo-dah powerbomb on the ropes thingamajig. I don't think that's the official name of it. My gosh, it's great. There was more 450s and dives because 2025 has finally Briscoe got going. He was just running wild and even screamed into the camera, which inspired Bayley, who hurricane Nick Rana off the ring apron right into his brother Matt. I had to rewind and watch this twice, and yep, I actually saw that. We then got to the part where it was also you go, I go, we all go, which actually ended with Swerve Strickland just ruining Ricochet with a house call. When yep, Strickland basically ignored a Canadian destroyer and he hit another one. He went really quiet. You could hear people getting mad about this, but we talked about it on Monday, or Tuesday I should say. For all ups and downs, give me every variation you possibly can. Mark was able to get the froggy bow, but Nick Jackson broke that up at the 1-2-ooh, when Mike Bayley was like, all right, I'm gonna hit the golden triangle. And he did. At this point, I was going through the wrestling move book going, there's no moves. There's literally no moves left when Swerve Strickland was going to hit his big finisher, and Matt Jackson said, I know one more move. The most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and he got the 1-2-3. But I gotta tell you, it was executed with such speed and a proper, well, where'd that come from? That's how you do it. Now, babyfaces were totally stunned, but I wouldn't worry, because it does feel like we're building to some kind of stipulation match where they will win. I just had a good time, and I forgot about my problems, and I could have watched it for 5 more minutes and been perfectly okay with that. It's getting an up. Never take it away from my life. Ricochet was then chatting to Will Ospreay about the fact he is taking on Hangman next week. When in came MJF. Now he wants Ospreay to go all the way because he has figured it out. That's the easiest way for him to get his AEW World Championship back. When Will was like, yeah, great bro. Hey, remember that time at All In when I dropped you on your head? That's gonna happen again. Max then fired back that William is the reason that shampoo bottles have instructions on them. And that was quite funny. Soon he's gonna find out why nobody is on the level of the devil. So we are most definitely teasing this match, especially because Ospreay then dragged him in and kissed him. No, he didn't, but he did say, no, I can beat the devil on the level because I'm the next level. He said it cooler than that, but trust me, am I now pumped for their round 3, I believe? You bet your ass. It'll probably be for the AEW World title. Renee was then flying around because she did her big sit down with Jamie Hayter. I'm just gonna say we need more of these. She's like a modern day Jim Ross. All it does is allow your talent to get their personality out. Who doesn't want more of that? Now, Hayter made it clear that she thought Mercedes Moné was full of nonsense and couldn't believe that Mercedes had said, oh my gosh, I can see some of myself in Jamie Hayter. That's not true, because Moné is fake and she runs away all the time, whereas Jamie has a bunch of truth and grit. She's also going to prove that Mercedes can be gotten to. And also, Moné, how about you stop looking through me? She didn't mean that literally, she meant it figuratively, because Mercedes does keep talking about All In like she's already there. Of course, at this point, Mercedes Moné just burst in and attacked Jamie Hayter. I was like, where is the useless wrestling security? Why don't they ever do anything? They also brawled right into the crowd as well, and at one point it looked like Jamie had got it done because her music started to play when Mercedes snuck in and she gave her the statement maker, then she danced. Just what she does. Now listen, if this was the go-home show to the pay-per-view, I'd be like, oh my god, Jamie Hayter is going to win. But of course, we have a couple of more shows, so I'm sure we will balance the books, and it will be Mercedes going to Texas. But either way, I thought it was a decent angle. We just need to kind of lean more into these sit-downs and make sure that people sound like, not real humans, that's not fair. I know, man, just take the wheels off a little bit. I don't know what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, this was good, but I believe it can be better, but I'm still giving it an up. I mean, I want to see the match. Alicia Atout then found Willow Nightingale, and she was like, listen, I know the list of people that want to punch Marina Shafir in the face is long, but I'd like to punch her first. Makes sense. Chris Statlander then walked in, because these two had joined at the hip. But actually, I thought this was great, because Chris was like, all right, if you ain't going to talk to me in the back, let's do it in front of the cameras. I was like, Statlander, that's the worst idea. That's like, oh, well, my boyfriend didn't answer any of my calls. Why don't I go shout outside of his house? Nightingale wasn't buying any of this, because she was like, are you actually sorry, or are you just upset you got knocked out of the Owen? And also, talking about the Owen, do you remember last year when I was going to win it and somebody stopped me? That person was you. Therefore, if you do want to have a bit of a conversation, why don't we do it in the ring? and she challenged her to a match on Collision. Now, I've talked about it many times. I didn't really like the way we ended Chris's heel run, but I've also said over and over, wrestling companies are allowed to try things, and if it doesn't work, just sort it out. And AEW has gone out of their way to try and justify this, and here, the way they had a chat and the way Willa remembered everything, well, I thought it was bloody great. I mean, we are at least trying to connect the dots, and now they're going to have a pseudo-friendly, pseudo-I-hate-you match. And damn it, I want to see it. So this is just one massive up, because again, we've talked about it time and time again. Of course you're going to make faux pas with doing weekly TV, but as long as you try and respect the fan base, well, I'm never going to be mad. This really was very pleasant to see. When Okada did indeed face Kevin Knight in an Eliminator match, and I'll admit to you, I am a bit bored of these title eliminators, but in terms of just sitting down and enjoying it, couple of thumbs. Only night 2, Roosh had called out Kevin for what he had done on Collision. So here, when Knight was making his entrance, Roosh just destroyed this guy until Mike Bailey had to make the save. The camera then cut to Okada, who pulled the best face I'd ever seen in my life. He didn't know what was happening. We then got my favourite wrestling trope too, when the referee was like, oh my gosh, Kevin Knight, there's no way you can carry on. But he said he would like to. So we just started the match. Health be damned. Thank goodness we did though, because this was an absolute riot. And early on, Okada was just popping this guy around, and even caught him and gave him a DDT. He also hit the drop kick when from nowhere, Kevin came back with this massive sky high. You can't convince me otherwise. He must have somehow found a Phoenix down. When he tried for his own DDT though, Okada just caught him out the air with the air raid crash when he started to flip people off. I don't know why he's obsessed with this, but he likes it more than his own birthday. Just as he was going to go for the Rainmaker though, Kevin was able to kick him right in the face when he was just springboarding around. I tell you man, this Kevin Knight ever since he has debuted, well, he's really good. Sadly, he got too obsessed with springboards though, because he went for another one, and Okada got a second drop kick when he hit the Rainmaker for the 1, 2, 3. But we can absolutely go back to this in the future, especially because afterwards Okada was like, I'm going to keep hitting Rainmakers. This is when Mike Bailey had to make the save again, but he was like, man, I hate this friendship. It's too hard work. But he did chase off Okada. So now I'm thinking at Double or Nothing, it could be Mike Bailey versus the Rainmaker, and I have processed that news, my friends. I need it in my life. He also kind of protected Kevin Knight here too, because he was attacked by Roosh beforehand. So it's just good wrestling TV. But Don Callis' family then basically challenged the Outrunners and anybody else because they do have such a big stable. When Alicia and Tout wanted more information from the Hurt Syndicate about what they are going to do, and MVP was like, nope, you have to talk to our lawyer. I think they said his name was Harrison Lando too. That's interesting. Something to keep an eye on. It was our main event next, Samoa Joe versus Claudio Castagnoli, and I'll be honest with you, I think I could watch them fight every single week. I'm just basically in love with them. I mean, they're just both such talent, and Samoa Joe is so believable. I am actually convinced to like a 4% level that he could win the AEW title next week. Now, it's not the time, that wouldn't be the right thing to do, but that's just what Samoa Joe does. They were throwing each other into barricade early on too, when Claudio used this crazy strength, but he then ran at Samoa Joe, who gave a Uranage on the floor, and all of this pretty hard hitting. Castagnoli then bit his way out of the muscle buster, which was an interesting choice as he went after Samoa Joe's arms, where he just began all the cigar uppercuts. He hit one off the ropes. I mean, it truly is a wonderful sight to see. He also applied the Cobra Clutch as Samoa Joe came back with a senton, but eventually Claudio was like, ha, I've got your legs now, Mr. Samoa Joe. I'm going to swing you. And this finish was great, because Joe just booted him in the head. He grabbed him by his pants. Claudio fell down perfectly, right into the Kakuna Clutch. And I imagine Castagnoli's brain was like, dude, if you don't breathe, man, you're gonna die. He did tap out. Samoa Joe wins. Of course, the Death Riders appeared instantly because that's just what they do. When Powerhouse Hobbs came out with a chair, that scared them all when they did set it up. And what did they do to Claudio? They crushed his tum-tum into it. That's what Castagnoli had done to all of their friends. John Moxley kind of looked on the whole time like he was confused until he locked eyes with Samoa Joe. When you stare at people in wrestling, it means you are super serious. As Joe raised that chair into the air, because next week's is a steel cage match. So they've totally gotten me here, because once again, I know that John Moxley is going to win, but also I don't know on like a nerd level. But it was just such a good end to a very fun Dynamite. I had a good time. And why did I watch this shib? To be entertained. Up. So yes, I've just made it clear there the show is getting an up too, and they are just on some momentum kick at the moment, and there ain't nothing wrong with that, because if you are into WWE and AEW or any other shows, it means you can sit down and put a smile on your face. That's all I need from my life. Up. Now, of course, please do let me know how wrong I am in the comments below and tell me your thoughts about AEW Dynamite. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs from Monday Night Raw. I appreciate you supporting the show. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. But otherwise, have a terrific day. We'll never get it again. Goodbye.